they're not going to be able to operate in that way. And likewise, Ed Harris's character, when he settles down with this woman that he meets, he's not going to be able to, he's going to have to change his ways. So in every way, the end of the North American frontier represents what any society goes through. Any individual in life, becoming an adult, is realizing, actually, I can't do anything I want. I can get away with a lot, maybe, if I'm smart about it, but you know, at some point, if I want to function and if I want to be around people, there are limits to my behavior. You know, the individuals that did that stuff in the airport yesterday, I hope they will be caught and punished because they deserve to be. I mean, that can't exist. Now, Native Americans wouldn't say that that was civilization, what arrived. In large part, to them it was like, well, we had a pretty good system going here, and this is cruel and unusual punishment. And they'd be right to say so. But in general, I like the Western because of that idea that it means a confronting reality, growing up, you know.
Thank you very much.
Have we got time for one more question? Yep, one. Yep.
Hi, mate. Yeah, just wondering. It's filmmaking and being an actor is one of the hardest industries to get into. Where did you start? How did you get to where you are? I mean, to kind of get above the crowd, there are many, many actors out there who go for auditions for the same role that you do. You know, obviously this is going from when you started out. How did you get yourself above, you know, the other faces?
Well, undoubtedly, are you an actor?
I am actually, yeah.
Yeah. Good luck. Because you'll need it. I mean, that is a part of it, a big part of it. But there's also, you know, I don't know if, I think it was Marlon Brando that said to a young actor who asked him, well, how do you get to be a good actor? Not how do you get work, but how do you become a really good actor? And he said, stick around. And I would say that stick around is what you have to do. You know, it sounds pretty simplistic, but it is true. You do need some luck. But when luck comes, you have to be ready as well. You know, you can't just sort of, you know, there's plenty of actors who get that lucky break and then they don't know what to do with it. You know, they squander it or they just don't pay attention. They think, oh, I'll be lucky forever. I can just fart around and not be prepared when I show up to work and behave badly and treat people badly. And, you know, and it's true. As long as their movies do well or their plays do well, they'll be hired reluctantly in some cases. But as soon as they have one bad one, they're out. Whereas someone who works really hard and a movie doesn't do well, you know, they'll be hired again because they can be counted on to do a good job, show up on time, do the basic things, you know. I think now it's probably a lot more competitive everywhere, probably Australia as well, than when I started, but it was then as well. I mean, it took me several years before. I mean, I did a lot of screen tests, including when I saw the play Good, you know, more than a quarter century ago. It was one of my first experiences, and I did lots and lots of screen tests. I never got those jobs, you know. In the first few years, I couldn't, well, more than a few years, I couldn't make a living at it. And I have a lot of friends who are fine actors. Some have stayed with it over the years, some just finally quit because they had families and they had to make a steady income and they just couldn't make a living. And you know, it's cruel because some of them are really good and they just need that chance and they just don't get it for whatever reason. I can't explain it, but you know, I've been very lucky, and I had, you know, the success I've had is, you know, I mean, I'm still amazed at how well things have gone the last, you know, 10 years, let's say. Most actors, they're lucky to make a living, period. And most actors are lucky if they do make a living, of that select few, certainly in the movies. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead, sorry.
No. Pardon me?
I'm not going to interrupt you.
You're not going to what?
Interrupt you.
Oh, no, I was just babbling. Go ahead.
Would you prefer theatre or film?
I started out working in the theater, and I had, you know, there was an event that happened that kind of turned things for me a little bit, which was, but then I stalled out again for a while, there was a day on which I was offered 2 roles. One was a part in a Shakespeare in the Park, Central Park in New York production of Henry V, and on the same day I was offered 2 days' work on Peter Weir's Witness. And I'd had a couple bit parts in movies before, but in both cases they'd been cut out of the movie, so, you know, I was sort of just trying to find work. And I was trying to decide. I was more inclined to do the play, because I figured I would learn more and it'd be all summer. And who knows, you know, what would have happened. But someone said to me, you know, how often do you get a chance to work? You know, that's a very good director. At that point he had directed Gallipoli and other, you know, Picnic at Hanging Rock, movies like that. You know, that's a unique opportunity. You might learn something there as well. And I took some time to decide, and then finally decided to do that. And it was such an interesting experience. It actually turned out to be quite misleading, you know, because he was a very intelligent, courteous man who was a director, with a crew that was professional, courteous, efficient. Everybody got along, and they made a good movie. And that's not the way it usually works. People are usually rude and inconsiderate and noisy and disorganized. You know, that's the way it is. So, but that inspired me to keep trying to be in movies. But it did take me quite a while. But there's a part of me that's pretty stubborn, so I just kept trying it, you know. And it took me several more years after that before I even came close to making any kind of living. But I would say from when I first tried, at least 10 years before I could make a steady living. I always had to do something else on the side, so I don't know what your situation is.
Thank you.
With it. Are you at a film school or an acting school?
I attended New York Film Academy in 2007, so now I've just been doing a lot of short films and theatre. You know, I do it because I couldn't see myself doing anything else. It's not that I want to be successful, but yeah, I really admire those actors who, you know, not become stars, but just make a living out of what they're good at because that's what they want to do.
Well, as long as you keep making things, because nobody can stop you from acting. I mean, you may be arrested if you run around the street, you know, spouting monologues all the time, but maybe not. If you do it really well, the cop may go, well, no, you need to do that again. You might make some money doing that. No, but what I'm saying is making, whether it's short films, whether it's smaller parts initially, which is what I did, you know, and I made student films and that kind of thing as well. I think it's a good thing to learn. I mean, I learned on the job. I made a lot of mistakes. And in a way, it's probably, as much as I wanted it, and as much as you probably want to have more responsibility, bigger roles, more visible projects so you can do it more, you know, as, say, a film actor. But nothing's stopping you from doing plays, you know, if you want to just keep going. But as long as you're doing short films and things and you're learning, in a way it's good that you don't have this explosive visibility right off the bat, because it allows you to work and learn your craft, hone it even more until that, you know, lucky thing happens where you're offered a part, a greater responsibility. Then you'll be ready for it. That's what I mean. You know, it's one thing to get lucky. It's another thing to be ready and do something with it. You know, so it sounds like you're committed, and I wish you luck.
Good luck.